Hello again and welcome to the latest tax update, brought to you by Tax Essentials for Advisors. I'm pleased to be back following a short holiday to bring you the latest roundup of all things tax from the last couple of weeks. In this week's general news, we're looking at a parliamentary committee's call for the inheritance tax reform affecting farmers and business owners to be pushed back, as well as the latest tweak to HMRC interest rates. From HMRC itself, we have details of a number of in-person national events about MTD ITSA and how you can register. We're also covering the latest nudge letter campaign and an update on how the capital goods scheme will be reformed. As usual, we'll round off with a couple of standout tax cases. This week, an interesting one involving the different types of domicile, and a second considering the conditions that must be met for trading loss relief to be available against general income. So to kick things off, a report by a number of MPs has been submitted to the government calling for a delay to finalising the details and implementation of the reform to agricultural and business property relief. Currently, relief at 100% is available to an uncapped value of qualifying assets, but are due to be restricted to just £1 million from April 2026. It's no secret that the reform has caused a backlash, with the agricultural industry being particularly aggrieved. A number of protests have been staged, and the call for a delay by the committee is understandable. The report states that a one-year delay, and I quote, would allow for better formulation of tax policy and provide the government with an opportunity to convey a positive long-term vision for farming. It would also protect vulnerable farmers who would have more time to seek appropriate professional advice. The ICAEW has also made representations to the government over the last few weeks, with the Institute raising concerns that the proposed revisions are too wide in scope, the threshold of 1 million being too low, and the concern that funding payments may prove too difficult, even with instalment options, leaving many with no choice than to sell land or businesses, which may have been in families for generations. Following the Bank of England's latest cut to the base rate, HMRC's rates have also been adjusted as shown here. As the base rate peg has been increased to 4% from April this year, it's more important than ever to minimise late paid tax. HMRC is hosting a number of live events to discuss MTD ITSA over the rest of this year. The details were announced as part of the department's Agent Update 131. According to the release, by attending, you will learn more about taking part in the testing phase and the additional support you'll get. Receive hands-on guidance to sign up for testing. Understand which clients will be mandated. Gain clarity on MTD obligations and compatible software. Discuss managing clients using the Agent Services account, and have the opportunity to ask HMRC your MTD-related questions. Given that recent polling suggests that advisors and clients are still not completely prepared for the rollout, attending an event can't hurt. The locations are as follows. Registration must be done via the email address shown here. Spaces are limited, so don't leave it until the last minute. While on the subject, we will be holding our own MTD webinar on Thursday, the 29th of May, and I'll give you more details on that at the end of this episode. HMRC's latest one-to-many letters, also known as nudge letters or phishing expeditions to skeptics, is concerned with claims for investors' relief. This is similar to business asset disposal relief, but is aimed at external investors rather than employee shareholders. It seems a number of claims in 2023 to 24 have merited attention. There are two letters being sent out. The first is challenging the claim itself, inviting an amendment. The second is requesting further information. It is important to respond within 30 days to avoid a potential inquiry or assessment. Next up, some welcome news regarding the capital goods scheme. This is a mandatory VAT adjustment mechanism designed to ensure that input tax recovery on certain high-value assets reflects the extent of their use in making taxable versus exempt supplies over a defined period. It reflects the fact that usage can fluctuate over a number of years. One problem is that the value thresholds have been in place for many years. For example, the threshold for land and property interest to be included is just £250,000 and has been at this level since 1990. Thankfully, this is to be increased to £600,000. Computer equipment is also going to be removed from the scheme. There is no set date for the changes, but the policy note, which you can view at the link shown here, says that it will be within the current Parliament. On to cases then, and this first one is an interesting one concerning domicile. Domicile is no longer relevant for tax status, but may well be important for inquiries for some years to come. In this case, Mr. Weiss was born in the UK to parents that had moved here from Romania in 1938, ahead of the outbreak of the Second World War. Mr. Weiss Sr. had a domicile of origin outside the UK. A dependent child generally acquires their father's domicile at birth in most cases where the parents are married. If the father's domicile changes before the age of majority, the child's domicile of dependence changes too. Mr. Weiss had lived in the UK all of his life, except for a 3-year period between 1967 and 1970 when he left to study in Israel. The tribunal had to consider whether his father had acquired a UK domicile of choice before he reached the age of majority in 1969. If so, Mr. Weiss would need to show he had severed all ties and acquired his own domicile of choice during his relatively short time in Israel. He had claimed the remittance basis of tax for a number of years, with over £6 million at stake. The tribunal found that his father had acquired a domicile of choice in the UK, even though he didn't live here for the last 23 years of his life. Mr. Weiss, therefore, needed to convince the tribunal that he had acquired a domicile of choice in Israel, and failed to do so given his familial and residential ties here. And finally, a reminder that a loss on a commercial trade isn't always relievable against general income. Here, Ms. Charlotte MacDonald owned a significant estate that had a number of income streams, including from a shoot. Ms. MacDonald claimed sideways loss relief in respect of losses incurred on the shoot. HMRC denied the claim, saying that the activity was not commercial, as required by Section 66 of the Income Tax Act 2007. There are actually 2 parts to the commerciality test. The tribunal found that the trade was carried on commercially, but that it wasn't carried on with the view to realizing a profit. 15 years of losses meant that such a view was unrealistic, so sideways loss relief was not available. That's it for another tax update from your team at Tax Essentials for Advisors. I hope you've found it useful. I'm delighted to announce that we will be launching a series of bi-monthly webinars on hot tax topics. The first one will be at 1 p.m. on the 29th of May, when we will be looking at MTD ITSA and how to prepare clients for the changes. I will be hosting the event with my colleague Tony Court, and will be welcoming special guest Natasha Everard, author of The Bookkeeper Superhero, to offer invaluable insight. This event is free, and you can register by visiting the link shown here. We'll be running a Q&A too, so it's a great opportunity to pick our collective brains. Hope to see you there. In the meantime, it's bye for now.